This is the secret Carl Shorten group on Facebook. But lo and behold, this is what we're going to be talking about today. It says here, meet the man who lived in the tower 500 years ago. One of the earliest images. Anyway, we're just going to read what this one says. So let's go and have a look at that. Obviously, this is what they did. They used to live in the church, and then obviously they got given a house. You know, the vicar then would be given a house to because this priest also lived there, like one we're going to talk about. Anyway, we're going to be Father Walter, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. But this is another one. This is another one where the priest. This is another one in Carl Shorten of this person here. He's another Walter. He became the priest of All Saints Church, where he was for about 30 years, over a staggering 500 years ago. And the next person we're talking to has lived in the church for 30 years, as well as being one of the very first images of Carl Shorten resident. It's also the first known image of All Saints priest. His mother Margaret wearing a red flowing dress. He was the High Sheriff of Surrey and Sussex. High Sheriff represented the sovereign to uphold matters relating to law and order. Nicholas gained favour with King Edward IV, King Edward V and Henry VII. Good for him. Walter's parents, Margaret and Nicholas, married in 1455, and soon afterwards they made Stone Court their home. And then, yeah, that's obviously Stone Court. So let's have a look. Hence, oh, I see, the house once stood there on that land. And then the eldest son was called John. He would inherit the family fortune. His younger brother Walter, being the second oldest, had been expected to go into the military or church, and the church is where we find him. It's highly plausible Walter lived in the church in a tower room above the entranceway. The church at this time was owned by Merton Priory and is something either Tudor priests are known to have done, and there are structural indications that this was the case for All Saints too. And that is the old part of Mickey's church. That's this bit and this bit. So that has the tower on it, and then that's the oldest bit. The rest of it's been built onto. That's just an amazing part of the church. Most of Walter's family are immortalised in brass. Here's the full image of Walter with his mum and dad. His little figure, second from right, with his siblings. Oh, down here, one of those, right. Cool. He died at the age of 35 in 1943, and this brass shows him as a Catholic priest and priory monk. Note the bald head. We also know he's a priest, as his robes are in holding with a chalice. In Tudor times, 35 was the average life of expectancy. Wow, you only lived to 35! All of these brasses can be viewed, All Saints by appointment, and jumping forward, 34 priests to present day, being a big thank you to Father David and Church Warden Andrew for showing me around. So I think that's the end, it was just showing you. So that's quite amazing, isn't it? So another person living in the church. Anyway, let's move on to the next bit. Mickey and I were watching this one, and it brought up the Carl Shorten one. And it seems that a lot of these, whatever you want to call them, he's called Father, they live. He's living in a cell, and now it's been was converted into a bedroom for him. And they said he's living here rent free. But anyway, let's continue with this little bit of video.
You see that That structure, built like a pulpit onto the nave of the 12th century Church of All Saints here in York, well, that is the home of a religious recluse, a refuge, the cell of a hermit, a solitary man who's lived the last 30 years of his life in that tiny room, 10 foot by 8. Let's meet him. It's a quiet churchyard, though it stands only 50 yards from the bus station. And here, hemmed in by old York, Brother Walter Wilman, he likes to be called Brother, has lived since he arrived back in the 1930s to be the sacristan of All Saints. In this tiny refuge, he's passed the lonely years, with a window overlooking the graveyard and a squint, a medieval peephole in one corner of the cell through which he can observe the activities of the church below. He's here rent-free, and he's not the first tenant to live so close to these old and cold stone walls.
Found this bit on the internet and I just had to put it back in because it's just amazing. It says in the 40s, after spending time with the Royal Artillery in the First World War, he eventually came to York to live rent-free. Rent-free, how exciting is that? At All Saints Church, Brother Walter's home became a hermit cell with a squint in the corner of the room, a small window to observe the church and its activities. And there are some pictures of him, probably from the TV programme. And that's it, I've got to show you. According to that video, and you can see down here, it goes up there. Well, goodness knows what that is, obviously to keep the floor up, but I mean, does it go through this building as well? But he lives in that. He lives in this little, tiny, weeny part of the church, all rent-free. That's what he did, he lived rent-free, but yeah, there he is. Anyway, let's move on.
The first person to live a solitary life like yours, Brother Wilman, on this site was, I believe, a female hermit or an anchoress who was walled up right here.
Yes, at least underneath this room, she was walled up in a room. The idea was these people came, and after a time of probation, they decided to anchor. And there was a ceremony, the bishop came and then closed them. And there they lived a life of prayer, and this particular one was supposed to have, the Blessed Virgin Mary is supposed to appear to her several times.
Some people, Brother Wilman, would see the walling in of your predecessors as a sort of mortification of the flesh that's unhealthy and perhaps morbid.
Yes, but it wasn't considered so at that time, but it would be today.
Well, at least you're not walled in here.
No, I'm not walled in at all, no.
Why have you chosen this solitary life?
Well, I don't know that I've chosen it, really chosen it, but I've been sort of drafted into it.
Yes, this is a person putting a comment in. They said, Brother Walter, the All Saints Church website, has more about his life. Born in Bradford, he left school at a young age to become a half-timer in the cloth trade before following the call of the church. In 1913, he was licensed as a lay reader. After spending time with the Royal Artillery in the First World War, he came to York, and a long association with Father Patchell took place. He lived in that little room with its surprise view of the lovely old church, where he could reflect on many things. His wanderings in the past and took him abroad, and he was for some years connected with the Franciscan movement, but he always came back to York and the All Saints.
The opening came, and being tired of being moved about from post to post as a lay worker, I've been in lodgings. When this kind priest offered me a home here, I was not to come.
Well, you were a
Settle.
comparatively young man then, Brother Wilman.
Over 40.
Well, that's quite young these days.
Yes.
If you had your time over again, would you choose to live alone in a cell like this for another 30 years?
Oh, no, I don't suppose I should. But you see...
Why not?
Well, because I'm not so pious as all that. A man must be very good and pious to choose a sort of life like this of his own voluntary choice.
So you don't recommend your type of life for anyone else?
Oh, certainly not. There are very few people would be suited to it.
Well, I suppose to them a material thing isn't that important. I went to school at a convent, and the nuns were married to God, but they didn't own anything, so it's probably the same for him. Yeah, I don't know if I'd like to be living in a prison cell myself, but there he is there. I've just seen him, so we're going to put this one on. The day of the BBC. Look what he lives in. I'm surprised he can sleep in there. No wonder he's hunched over because he's got no room in there. And there he could see into the church. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. What's your thoughts?
But would you call yourself, in fact, a happy man?
Yes, I'm quite happy in the circumstances I am, because I have a sort of life that's interesting to me, as having a sort of religious frame of mind.
But surely you could have got around very much more than you have. You have stayed here voluntarily, alone in this cell for 30 years.
Yes, I dare say I could, but I liked it, and perhaps I wasn't ambitious. Perhaps I might have stirred myself and even got, in these days at any rate, into a college, and realised, in a sense, what I thought was my vocation.
Well, of course, you could perhaps have gone to an almshouse, which would have been at least warmer and drier than this cold, damp cell.
Well, I dare say I could, but I should have been away from my interests. I prefer to stay here because I don't think I should be comfortable or interested elsewhere after all this time.
Well, thank you, Brother Wilman, and we wish you many more contented years.